friends. I think this is volume 8 of the FGO long translation shenanigans. If you got questions, make sure you comment down below. Whenever I can answer it, I'll answer it. If you got any questions and whatnot, I'll give you guys more rundown, the detail for sure. This one is surprising of unexpected shenanigans, the secrets and the behind the scenes of Ordeal Call 4. カルダでは煉獄を舞台にカルデア側の罪が疑われるという物語が書かれていました。本書の作品秘密について教えてください。It says Ordeal Call 4 was going to be Dante's Inferno and like trials of shenanigans, and Karudia side's sin was to be judgment upon. In the actual quote unquote ordeal call, can you show us and tell us any secrets and behind the scenes shenanigans? 総称4は総称全体のまとめとなる章になるし、マッシュの物語にも重要な部分を裏目ています。そのため、オールディールコール4は自分の担当ライターと合意という形になりました。そこで担当ライターがどんなことをやりたいかと聞いて、メゾン一角をやりたいと言い出しました。最初はどういうことと思いますか？確かにこのメンバーで昭和ボロアパートとか台無し芝居なだいぶなところになったらもうそれはもうメンゾ一角だし麻雀ぐらいするよな。楽しそう。でも僕は共同生活といえばここはグリーンウッドの方が好きなんだけどなんて思いながらも OK したんですよ。以前どこかのインタビューで次の章はきっと驚きますよ。いや、それやっていいんだと驚くはずです。と上言したのはこれのことです。メゾン一角。I gotta look that up real quick. Japone. メゾ一角。一角は刻みの角であり、これではない。Coming in, coming out, wanna go to Mara now. Ain't that got you crazy now? Ain't that got you crazy now? I better get it upside down. Holy fucking cannolis, chat. The sheer amount of... Is it Gaku? No, it's this. Yeah, Mezoikaku. Mezoikoku. Oh, excuse me. Mezoikoku is a Japanese series. Is that the same person fucking does Ranma? Hold up. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that shit is the same person who drew Ranma. What is that in English? Mezoikoku. Mai Son Ikoku. Mason Ikoku. I don't know how to say that. It's a coming of age romantic comedy slash of life. It's just living under a roof. What the Sigma? It says yeah, which makes it charming as fun, more popular works like Ranma, yeah. A group of eccentric people who lives in a boarding house in 1980s Tokyo. So yeah, essentially, Ordeal Call 4. Ordeal Call 4 was technically a kind of a TLDR, kind of rounding up the entire Ordeal Call, and that was the chapter. Simultaneously, it would inscribe a very important chapter to MASH's story as well. And so in order for that to happen, Ordeal Call 4 was done by me and the writer that was in charge, and it was kind of a hybrid creation. So I asked the writer what kind of thing did he wanted to do, and he specifically says Maison Ikkoku. Well, is what he wanted to do. Maison Ikkoku, I just looked it up as you heard. It is essentially a coming of age anime / romantic comedy. It's eccentric group of people who lives in a boarding house in 1980 Tokyo. Story focuses on gradually developing a relationship between a poor student down on his luck and a young, recently widowed boarding house manager. It's a nice little shenanigans. It's cute. It's kind of got that interesting style. And when I heard that for the first time, I was like, come again is what I thought. But I thought to myself for a second that with these type of members and have a crappy apartment as a place to rest, crappy apartment place to rest during the Showa era, it is 100% the quote unquote the scene and the familiarity of Maison Ikkoku. And they would definitely play Mahjong for the shits of it. Sounds fun. But to me personally, I wanted this is Greenwood, the quote unquote, when it comes to cohabitating lifestyle comedy. That was what I wanted, but I said okay, and we went with that approach. Isn't what? Oh, okay, there we go. I was like, what? I said it in some interview that I can't remember. I specifically told people that the next chapter, aka Ordeal Call 4, is going to be quite a surprise. And people will be saying, wait, you're allowed to do that? And a lot of people will be for baffling surprise. That was the indication of Ordeal Call 4. Essentially Dante's Inferno and a shitty minor comedy, broken house apartment landlord relationship shenanigans. 確かに言い返すとあのパートで生活しているシーンはメンゾン一国の感がありましたね。It says for certain, now that you think about it, these apartments and the living in that scene definitely felt that manga / anime type of reference 100%. メゾン一国はあくまでスパイスので物語のベースにしたのはダンテースの新曲です。世界観にも愛的な制作ですし、現実的にを知っているユーザーにも納得してもらえる内容にしなければと担当ライターにはかなり神経を使っていました。It says, unfortunately, Maison Ikkoku was nothing more than a spice added to the base of the story. The main base of the story was Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy. Dante's Divine Comedy as a, land-based. It is a very famous and popular genre and book that's been known throughout the world, and a lot of people have the origin. So I wanted those people who know the origin, I wanted to know the user who know the origin of the Divine Comedy to enjoy it as well. And so I definitely shredded the quote unquote person, the writer in charge, in order to make things happen the way it needed. And then the interviewer says, simultaneously, MASH had to confront her own sins, aka she needed to confront her own sins, and kind of this confrontation was a very important theme in this ordeal call. 総称4は罪が物語の受信となっています。その中でこれまで悪いことに手を染めたことのないマッシュの罪とは何なのか。それは無知、無罪、矛盾であることから卒業したことなんです。無知、矛盾な人間は美しい。でもそれは裏を返せば自分だけが汚れていないことでもある。そしてマシにとってそれは矛盾であることから脱出することが人間としての最後の成長になるのですよ。 So it says Ordeal Call 4 was about sins, and sin was kind of playing the primary main role of the story. And on top of this, on top of it all, specifically talking about Mash, who never really put her hands in evil and never really tainted herself in any color. Her sin, what was her sin? And that was purity. That was her innocence. And that was kind of her fencing. Her fuck, I can't remember what it was. It's unbiased. Yeah, unbiased circumstances. Unbiased circumstance, which is technically her innocence, right? She needed to graduate from her innocence. 卒業したことなんです。And Mash graduating from her innocence is the quote-unquote trial that needed to cleanse Mash's sins. Because humans that are innocent is quite beautiful. But simultaneously, if you think of it the other way around, it means that you're the only one who didn't taint themselves, or you're the only one who doesn't get their hands dirty. And to quote-unquote, for Mash to escape from her innocence is kind of her last step to truly kind of become what it means to be human. Uh, 物語の終盤の定義は、裁判の主張を琴峰桐江が求めていることにあって、非常にスリリングでしたね。万全の体制を整えてもどうひっくり返せられるのか予想もできなくて、担当ライターのプロップには最後に逆転裁判をしますと書いてありました。ちょっと待て。逆転裁判はいや、超難しいから覚悟しておいた方がいいよと伝えたんです。案の定、作者の大ざめを言うても本人も裁判なんかやらなきゃよかったと泣きわめいて言いました。Oh no! It says, yeah, during the final part of the trial, the sheer fact that Kotomine prosecutor wanted retrials and whatnot, there was quite the thrilling, and this entire court case thrill was quite the insanity yet entertaining. The sheer fact that no matter how ready we were, I really didn't come to the conclusion how we were going to flip this over. Was definitely an excitement reading the story. Nasu goes, the writer that was in charge of the plot, they requested that we were going to do quote unquote gyakuten saiban. What is that? Ace attorney. We're going to do ace attorney at the very end. And that's what this person wrote. I told them, just wait a minute. You do realize the quote unquote ace attorney materials and attorney shenanigans are really hard and difficult, and you better prepare yourself for it, is what I told them. And Lord and behold, the writer did their very best. And in the very end, when Ordeal Call 4 is all done and settled, even the writer themselves says, I should never have done the trials, and I should never done Ace Attorney style, and was crying at the very end. So parentheses lol. 総称4の終盤では自らの罪を受けて入れた成長したマッシュがシールダー・パラディーンにクラスチェンジに星5に昇格しました。新たなマッシュをデザインする際、竹内さんはどんなことを念に置いたのでしょうか？ It says, around the end of Ordeal Call 4, accepting her own sins, Mash Kira Light has grown once more into a Shield Paladin class change and turned herself into a 5-star, ranked up. When designing the new MASH, Mr. Takeuchi, what did you think in mind when drawing this? Takeuchi goes,マッシュがパラディーンになるという話は随分前から那須さんから聞いていました。当時は、全体目に白くなるというガサツとしたイメージがありますしかありませんでしたが、いざデザインに抵触したらこれがかなり難しくて、僕がデザインに挑む際には最初にかっこよくする、色気を調教する、可愛くするといった起点となるテーマを決めてからデザインを膠着します。マッシュパラディーンの場合はその起点の段階とはとても悩んでしまいましたね。マッシュは物語の上でもユーザーにとても最初に仲間になったファーストサーバントであり、この10年間ずっと一緒に旅をしてきた一番身近なパートナーです。ユーザーの中には元の姿に愛着がある方が多いでしょうし、そこからガラッと姿を変えてしまったら寂しさや違和感を感じることではないかと。それでいかにもパラディーンという漢字にガラッと姿を変えたパターンやベースカラーを白にしつつ変形は元の衣装のアレンジする締めるパターンを2つ考え、ラフを何枚かも書きました。その上でナスに見てもらって意見を聞くことにしたんですよ。So essentially, Takeuchi explains MASH becoming a paladin. That was kind of already told from Nasu from the very get-go. At first, he only gave me an idea that says she's going to become whiter, like color palette wise. And it was only a basic image kind of applied to it. But when the image was supposed to be designed into concept, it was quite rough, more difficult than I anticipated. Because every time I design things, I always have 3 big things in common to start out with. Whether it be make them look cooler, or make them look a little more sexier, or get their sex appeal or their essentially their strong charm points stronger, or make them cuter. Those are kind of the 3 basic side I use as a theme and start the design idea from there to construct it. When it comes to the MASH Paladins, I was definitely troubled by that original few steps for certain. Because after all, MASH within the story was our very first servant within the users for certain. Within the very first users, she was technically our first servant as well. And within this entirety of 10 years, we've journeyed together with her, and she is one of the closest partners that we can ever have. And there are users that suggest that the OG back in the day had, some love to it. And simultaneously, if I were to all of a sudden change her outfit once more to completely different, you'll have the little bit of sadness and like you miss the old style. Simultaneously, uncomfortability will definitely showcase for certain. But simultaneously, on top of that, I needed to show Paladin, this little paladin style. And I created multiple, color palette differences, style palette differences, motif palette differences. Base color was completely white, but changed formation. Utilized the clothes back in the day and arranged it in a few different patterns. Kind of came up with 2 and drew multiple rough drafts. Afterwards, I gave it to Nasu to give his opinion. And then Nasu answers, 竹内くんに見せてもらったラフはかっこいいものや可愛いものなどもいろいろなパターンがありました。でも今回はマッシュらしさを重視したい方がいいと判断して元の服をアレンジしてベースカラーを白にしたものがいいと伝えたのです。It says Takeuchi had a lot of good rough drafts. Some of them look cooler, some of them look more cuter, and the mini pattern definitely existed. But I wanted this theme. I wanted MASH's theme, and specifically respected MASH to be who she is. And judging by that factor, we arranged it from the previous outfit we had beforehand changed the base color to white, and then adjusted things accordingly to look where she is now. Another difficulty design that I had was Mash's Paladine's shield design. Because the shield design, specifically withheld by Mash, is such an impressionable equipment that I can't change the design in a major or drastic way. I've added to Mr. Koyama. I've also added Mr. Hirokazu and Koyama additional suggestions of what I could do and which direction I could go forward to. When we came to the conclusion of utilizing the previous silhouette shield and strongly adjust its own design on top of it. After all, the Mash's shield does turn into a new Black Barrel style change-up. ナスにデザインイメージを聞いたら、シューティングゲームの自動機みたいにしたいと言ったしさ。It says, yeah, when I asked Nasu for that specific design, he specifically stated, I wanted to look like a toy that you could utilize in the shooting game, in the arcade, parentheses, lol. Big Viper みたいな SF チック。Yeah, I wanted to look like a big Viper cannon. Big Viper cannon for sure. A very science fiction-esque and a very sleek style, but looks cool. That was what I wanted for her to obtain. 見た目はキャノン砲から離れてもいいから美しいものにしたい。チョコさんならきっとこのイメージを形にするとお願いしたのです。So I asked Choco to create a sci-fi looking railgun style that can definitely not look like a cannon. But I wanted to make it something beautiful. So I asked Mr. Choco for this request and boom. Takeuchi says, we asked Choco for the request, but we definitely caught this person on the most busiest time of the year. But Choco specifically says, your order is hilarious, so I will do it, and easily stepped everything aside and then worked on it. 宝具演出をかっこよく見せるためにさらに無理を言ってカットインの下書きまでお願いさせていただきました。It says, we wanted to showcase the Noble Phantasm and wanted to make it look so cool that we forced, we pushed a little bit more of creating additional rough draft of cut-ins in order for the Noble Phantasm activation could be achieved. By the way, Nasu specifically drops a hint that says in 2021, the movie Fake Grand Order Camelot movie, the ending, the second movie subtitle is called Paladin Agatoramu. And by writing that statement, it was supposed to be hinting at a line where Mash was going to become a paladin, aka paladin. あの映画ではパラディーンとはベリエールのことを指していましたが、後にそれはマシュに受け継がれることになったと。It says in that movie, specifically the paladin, aka paladin, is supposed to be pointing at Bedivere. But in afterwards, it was also be bestowed to Mash and continue onwards. マッシュパラディーンが攻撃モーションの中でアガートラムを使っているのもベリビエールの実際ものなんです。I said the fact that Paladin Mash utilized an attack motion where she uses Agatoramu was definitely Bedivere's little suggestion. 時代物です。So yeah, essentially, Nasu was cooking since 2021 that she was going to be a paladin. Social を読んで総書を読んで最終面積でマシと融合してきた融合していたギャラハッドの登場したものも大きいサプライズでした。So it says at the end of Ordeal Call 4, the Galahad that was fused with MASH came out of nowhere was a big surprise. 当時のプロットでは最後に主人公たちの前に立ちはかどるのはリリースだけでした。でもそれだとマッシュとリリースの対決で終わってしまうし、ユーザーにとっても驚きがない。総称の締めくくりとなる場面なのでメインストーリーの幹部分の用も触れておきたかった。根元の幹部の要素にも触れておきたかった。そこで FGO の物語において最大のギミックである盾とこれまで触れてこなかったギャラハッドとのを書くことにしたのです。本来は総称4が終わった後に南極に突入するとギャラハッドが待っていたのでしか。Okay. This is at the very first of the plot setup. In the very end, protagonist was supposed to be fighting only Lilith. But if you just ended the fight with Mash and Lilith fighting, it was kind of being underwhelming. And there was no surprise factor for the user base. In order to round up the Ordeal Call 4 nicely, and in order to tighten this story well, I wanted to also kind of confirm some of the main story's underlings and more notions at hand. And so that's why I wanted to create the battle of FGO's biggest gimmick, which was the shield, and the bringing in the character that we barely touched, Galahad. And that's the reason why we started writing him. In actuality, he was supposed to be waiting in front of you after the Ordeal Call 4, riding to Antarctica. That's when you're supposed to fight Galahad at first. But we decided to bring him in Ordeal Call 4. Let's see. ギャラハッドは17年末に放送されたフェイトグランドオーダームーンライトロストルームにも登場していましたが、デザイン変更点にはあるのでしょう。いえ、当時作ったデザインをそのまま使用しています。色はマシと同型の一緒に黒と紫にしつつ、顔はシビアなヒーローっぽいに感じ、鎧の平均もマシの男性バージョンというイメージを基本にデザインしておりました。マシとは逆画面の目が髪で隠れていることがポイントですね。ギャラハッドの戦闘モーションに鎖がついて盾を投げつけるというのもありまして、これもナスさんの発案なんですが、最初にアイデアを聞いていたときはそこから持ってくるのと驚きました。アルゴスの戦士かというゲームですね。これはもうアラ50の世代にしか通じないネタだ。The Warrior of Argoth is crazy. Yeah, the fact that he does have a chain for that motion is wildfire. So it says, yeah. By the way, Galahad showcased himself for the very first time in 2017 in the anime Fate Grand Order Moonlight/Lost Room. When it comes to design changes, was there anything changed at all when he came in for Ordeal Call 4? Takeuchi says no. We practically used that current design exactly the way it is. The color scheme is very close to the MASH original side. Getting the armament of black and purple mixture with the face looks like a very serious, very serious heroic type. An armor structure, essentially it is the male version of the MASH's armor type, is the image we definitely went for the basic design. The charming and interesting point is that the quote-unquote hidden eye, while Mash is on its right, Galahad has it on its left. It's essentially Mash has it on his right, like Mash has this eye peeked up, Galahad has this eye peeked up. So they hide opposite eyes. When it comes to battle motion of Galahad, apparently he had a chain. Yeah, he had a chain and he swings that shit. That was definitely Mr. Nasu's idea. The first time I heard that idea is like, oh my goodness, you're gonna bring that here of all places? And I was quite the surprise. And Nasu specifically goes, unfortunately, the original idea, right? Original idea came from the Warrior of Argos. Yeah, the Warrior of Argos. It's specifically typed the game, but unfortunately, this meme or this idea doesn't translate well unless you're around 50 plus years old. Parentheses laugh. いやー懐かしい。中学生の頃ゲーセンでナスキノコがアルゴスの選手をやっているのをアイス食べながら観戦してたな。ちなみにギャラハッドの盾はラセンゴルのスタッフに守るためではなく攻撃的なものであると伝えてデザインしたものです。So, Takeuchi says, man, talking about that game brings nostalgia. I remember when we were in middle school, during the arcade, Nasu would be playing the arcade game the Warrior of Argos, and I was munching on my ice cream and watching that battle unfold. By the way, Galahad's shield, I told the Lysenko staff that his shield is not meant for protecting, but for attacking. And that's why the reason of design of the way he is the way he is. And then last but not least, he asked, currently, ユーザーが自分のグランドサーバントを決めるグランド関連検査が始まっています。It says, yeah. So currently, user base is having a grand servant battle in order to create their perfect grands, or their favorite grands, actually. And these grand battles are occurring. By the way, apparently they've... So this was 1 month ago, by the way. The interview was 1 month ago, saying parentheses, during the interview, we are in mid-June. It says a lot of the servants will be granted, and we're going to have this quote-unquote grand battle, grand choosing. Why did you not add a story to this grand shenanigans? グラン会観戦はユーザーから自分の意思で好きなサーバントをグランドに昇格させるシステムです。ここで下手に敵として登場するグランドサーバントストーリーをつけたりしたらユーザーの自由な発想を防ぐ的になる恐れがある。ゲーム側が無理強して選ばせるのではなく、ユーザーが自発的に自分の推しを押して欲しかったのです。なるほど。確かフレンドリストを見ると意外なサーベントがグランドしている人がいっぱい面白いって感じます。So it's essentially, they asked, why didn't you add main story? Why didn't you add reason? Why didn't you add story to the grand shenanigans? And Nasu specifically goes, I wanted the grand battle and the grand picking your servant. I wanted them to do it on their own volition. I wanted their servants that they like. I wanted them to rank up the servants that they really enjoy to their own idea and their own volition. That is the system that I wanted to create. And if I create a enemy or a story that comes in as a grand servant, it would really just crush the creativity and kind of the freedom of thought process of what the user base wants, and that is not the option we wanted to go for. I wanted a game system that didn't force the meta, or didn't force the meta, or didn't force a picking the strongest one, but automatically let the user base pick their Oshi, aka their favorite, was the goal that we wanted to orient for. And then the interviewer goes, oh, I see. I know for a certain in my friends list, there is quite a lot of unprecedented servant being grand, in my opinion. And I think it was quite hilarious, and I think it's quite joyful. And then Nasu goes, that is exactly what we're going for, and that we are aiming. It says in the grand battle, you will either pick a servant that's very powerful, or you will pick a servant that you enjoy, and it's the freedom of the players that we want to respect. Hey, let's go. It says, for an example, I'm always constantly wondering which grand servant saber I wanted to do. I wanted to do Grand Saber Artoria, but Benny Emma is very alluring. Feeling wise, I want to put Grand Saber on Artoria, but if I am rotating and farming, the single target Noble Phantasm of Benny Emma is a lot more reliable. But if I were to pick that instead of picking Artoria, the voice actor of Artoria would probably yell traitor and make would probably yell traitor at me and yell at me. But in the very end, I chose Benny Emma. Let's go! My daughter's supremacy! Papa! Yo, clip that shit right there, boys. Clip that shit. Nasu chose Benny Emma over Artoria, baby. Benny Emma over Artoria. We've got a winner. Nasu truly picked the grandest saber. Picked the right choice, Nasu. Well done. In the end, he struggled and came to the conclusion that he picked grand saber Benny Emma. Yes, sir. It says, Miss Kasumi, I do apologize. Right when the Saber Grand is over, I'll switch it up to Artoria. Understandable. So during the Saber Grand, right? During the Saber Grand, Nasu has chosen Benny Emma in order to farm better. But after he's done farming, he's going to switch it back to Artoria. Understandable. Understandable. So technically, Nasu did pick Artoria as Grand Saber, but during the Saber farming node, he picked Benny Emma because I'm the best. That was a surprise, yeah. That was quite the surprise. But yeah, it's essentially the fact that we can do that is kind of nice as well. Right? Because Nasu wants to Grand Artoria, but in order to, for the sake of efficient farming, he just picked Grand Benny. And I did that same shit for Berserker. Remember that? Because I granded Berserker Castoria until I finished Berserker farming and then swapped it to Berserker Sei. It's very understandable. And so that's wonderful. By the way, Mr. Takeuchi, who did you grand your saber to? And then Takeuchi says, of course, Artoria. I've been living with her and pushing Artoria for 20 plus years. There's no other options, I gotta tell you. Damn, Takeuchi straight up said, I ain't got no options but Artoria. 20-year fan, no other options. Base Takeuchi. All right, so that concludes Ordeal Call 4. Damn, that shit took 40 minutes. It's insane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We got one more recording before I gotta go to bed. So make sure you guys square up and be prepared. This will be the quote-unquote Walking Among FGO 10 Years of Feelings. So I'll see you in the next video, okay? Peace.